He hides behind his writing to avoid dealing with the grief of losing his daughter. Welcome to WWH. My name is Andrew Dreamer, and we have another action-packed show in store for you today. We're going to be taking a look at what I consider to be a very underrated film. Today's subject is 1408. Ever since this film's release, I've been a huge fan of it. And before we get going, if you're new here, subscribe to the channel and turn your notifications on so you never miss an episode. While you're at it, head over to Patreon and consider supporting the channel. We'd love to have you be a part of the WWH Universe. Like this video and post a comment down below letting me know if you've seen this movie. 1408 was released in 2007 and directed by Michael Hafstrom. I probably butchered that. It stars John Cusack and Samuel L. Jackson, and was also based on a 1999 short story written by Stephen King. Like I said, I really feel like this movie doesn't get the attention it truly deserves, whether that be through word of mouth or any other way. There are certain movies that me and my brother have bonded over throughout the years, and this is one of them. So I do hold it a little closer because of that. But with all of that out of the way, let's check in and head down to the ring. The film opens with Mike Enslin, a skeptical author who writes books about supernatural places, checking into a hotel to write the next chapter of his book.
Mike Enslin, checking in. Honey?
Mr. Enslin,
We were afraid you weren't going to show.
Though he has no belief in any of this, he does it anyway just to make a buck. He finds the place boring and leaves to promote his most recent book in California. He then receives a postcard depicting the Dolphin Hotel in New York City. On the back of the postcard is a message. It reads, "Don't enter 1408. Mike accepts the challenge and travels to New York demanding to stay in the room. Hotel staff and general manager Olin, played by Samuel L. Jackson, try to convince him to stay in a different room to no avail. Olin explains that in 95 years, no one has lasted more than a single hour in the room, and that there has been a total of 56 deaths in the room as well.
All right, here, read the godforsaken thing. I guarantee you, once you've read it, you won't want to stay in 1408.
Olin repeatedly tries to dissuade Mike, even bribing him with alcohol, but Mike's insistence and threat of legal action are too much. Olin reluctantly agrees and takes Mike to the room, but refuses to get off the elevator with him.
Well, this is where we part company. This is as close as I get to 1408, unless it's that time of the month.
Once inside the room, Mike is unimpressed and begins writing his book using a cassette recorder, which becomes a catalyst in this story. Mike calls the room the banality of evil, commenting on the boring appearance and the absence of supernatural behavior.
Some smartass spoke about the banality of evil. If that's true, then we're in the seventh circle of hell.
As he does this, the clock radio suddenly begins playing the song "We've Only Just Begun" by the Carpenters, scaring him. It also begins counting down from 60 minutes. Mike still believes it's all fake and even commends the staff for the ruse. Various events slowly convince him that it may not be so fake. This culminates in a window slamming shut down on his hand, injuring him. He attempts to leave but finds out the room just refuses to let him. Mike begins seeing the ghosts of the room's past victims and suddenly has a revelation. Well, it's really just one last hope that this might not be real. He questions whether the alcohol he was given was drugged.
He gave me booze. Did he take a sip? I can't remember.
He believes that he's hallucinating, but unfortunately that doesn't seem to be the case.
He dosed me. It was the booze or the chocolates. Never take candy from strangers. All right, I'm just hallucinating.
He also sees flashbacks of his deceased daughter, Katie, and his terminally ill father. He makes several attempts to escape the room, including climbing out the window and through air vents, but it's all to no avail. Back inside the room, the temperature begins to drastically rise, and Mike uses his laptop to contact his estranged wife, Lily, asking for help.
Mike, is that you? I can barely see you.
Yes.
It's like seeing a ghost.
No. Yes, it's me.
The heat causes the sprinklers to go off, short-circuiting his computer. The laptop does start working again later, though, when the temperature starts to drop below freezing. As Mike talks to Lily again, a doppelganger of himself appears on the screen, urging Lily to come to the hotel room, which she agrees to for some reason.
Anybody just go straight up to the 14th floor and walk through the door.
Do not!
It's life or death, sweetie.
Go!
Okay.
Come up to the room!
Let me talk to you about Katie.
The room begins shaking violently, causing Mike to crash into a painting of a ship in a storm. And from that picture comes a huge flood of water into the room. Mike later wakes up on a beach reliving an earlier surfing accident he had had before his venture to New York. While recovering in the hospital, he reconciles with Lily and assumes that his experiences in room 1408 was all just a nightmare. Lily encourages him to write a book about it, and he does.
Yeah, but it was so vivid. It was so real.
Maybe you should write about it.
He goes to visit the post office to send the manuscript to his publisher and notices that some of the construction workers that are in the building are actually hotel staff from the Dolphin. They start destroying all of the walls, revealing that Mike is actually still trapped in 1408.
I was out!
Katie's ghost confronts him and says she doesn't want to leave. Mike hugs his daughter and sobs, saying that she's not going anywhere. But she ends up crumbling into ash, making this the most emotional moment of the film.
No! You bastard!
When the countdown finally ends, the room restores itself and the clock resets to 60 minutes once again. The phone rings and a female voice asks Mike why he hasn't killed himself yet. She informs him that guests enjoy free will and he can either relive the past hour over and over and over, or he can use the express checkout system. A noose appears, but Mike refuses to give in to the hotel. He makes a Molotov cocktail out of the bottle of alcohol and sets the room on fire.
Go to hell!
An explosion knocks Mike to the floor where he laughs in victory, having destroyed the evil room.
Never kill more than you can eat.
The hotel is evacuated, and Olin, still in his office, praises Mike for his actions.
Well done, Mr. Enslin. Well done.
And this is where we come to a bit of a crossroad. There are actually 4 different endings for this film. Each one of them has different implications and emotions tied to it. I'll quickly run through them. The first is the theatrical ending, which is my favorite. In this version of the film, Mike survives and reconciles with Lily. She finds a box of his possessions from 1408, and Mike grabs that cassette recorder out of the box. He gets the recorder to work, and they both hear Katie's voice on it, confirming that Mike's experiences were real.
I love you, Daddy.
You're not real. You're not Katie.
I need help. Daddy, don't you love me anymore?
This is my favorite ending because I like the sense of affirmation that it was all in fact real, that Mike was vindicated and now has a witness who knows it too. An alternate version of this ending has the same events play out, but with Lily not hearing Katie's voice, only showing Mike's response. The director's cut ending has Mike dying in the fire, and at his funeral, Olin attempts to give Lily a box of Mike's possessions, which she refuses. Back in his car, he listens to the recorder, hearing Katie's voice before Mike's burnt corpse shows up in the back seat of his car. The final scene is of the gutted room where an apparition of Mike hears his daughter calling for him before he walks out the door. This ending indicates that in death, Mike has freed all of the souls trapped inside the room. The final ending also has Mike dying in the fire, but we see Lily and Mike's publisher Sam sorting through Mike's things. Sam returns to his office where he finds the manuscript Mike wrote while in 1408. As Sam reads it, we hear an audio of Mike's experiences in the room. The final shot is of Sam's door slamming shut, and we hear Mike's father's voice once more. The alternate endings just don't do it for me. None of them are bad, and I can even see why they were shot, but the theatrical ending just gives me the most satisfaction. I really do enjoy this movie a lot, and we are going to discuss the positives and the negatives, but first we do have to take a quick break. So stick around and we'll be right back with more WWH action. If you're looking to save 20% off of your order from Recon1.com, look no further, I have the perfect deal for you. If you'll go to their website, put some things in your shopping cart, all you have to do is use code AndrewDreamer when you're checking out and you will receive 20% off of your entire order. It's a really good deal, so go check out their products. I promise you they will have something you want. So go check them out and use code AndrewDreamer at checkout. Welcome back to WWH. Let's continue on with the show and head back down to the ring. This story has a lot of emotion behind it. Mike is a very flawed character with a lot of vices. He hides behind his writing to avoid dealing with the grief of losing his daughter. I think that's something that a lot of people can relate to. It's tough to lose someone you love. And when you lose someone like that, a lot of people will hide behind things to avoid it. I mean, I've been there myself. You hide behind your work, your hobbies, or anything that can occupy that mind space. Mike doesn't believe anything he's writing, but he does it anyway. He drinks, he keeps a cigarette on him because it keeps him in that headspace of writing, but it's also a tiny reminder of his daughter since he was a smoker when she was alive. John Cusack and Samuel L. Jackson are great when they're on screen together. Their scene in Olin's office is probably the best acting in the entire film. And this film also has a lot of layers. They plant these little seeds of doubt in your mind that maybe, just maybe, it's not real. Maybe Mike is hallucinating and you don't truly know until the very end. Yes, you're pretty sure, but there's still that little tinge of doubt. There's also a lot of tension in not knowing how Mike is going to get out of that situation, out of the room. This is also a bit of isolation horror. Mike is alone in the room for a majority of the film. Yeah, there are other characters, sure, but Mike is completely alone and trapped in this place that almost becomes a refuge for him. I mean, the story is just brilliant to me. But let's switch over to the negatives now. The biggest negatives I have are the alternate endings. I remember watching this movie for the first time, seeing the theatrical ending, then watching it later on, seeing the director's cut. I was so confused. I thought I was experiencing the Mandela effect. And then I watched it again later and saw another alternate ending and was even more confused. This film was distributed in so many different versions that you didn't even know what version you were going to see. Luckily, now I know what's going on there. There are also some scenes with Mike in the room where John Cusack's acting just isn't great. I don't know what happened during those scenes, but it wasn't on the same level as the rest of the movie. Another area the film lacks are the spirits. When you see the room's past victims, they appear almost like glitches. I'm just not a huge fan of the CGI effects here. I'm not sure why this decision was made, but I think they could have done something better. If you think I left anything out, let me know down in the comments below. And despite the confusion with the endings, this is a very enjoyable movie. If you haven't seen it, there was a lot of stuff that I didn't mention throughout this video, so that definitely makes it worth the watch. So check it out. Let me know what you want to see next on the channel, subscribe to the channel, and leave a like on this video. Check out our Patreon page and become a member of the WWH Universe. We'll be back very soon with another episode, but until then, my name is Andrew Dreamer, and this is Wrestling with Horror.